Welcome into Sports Talk Chicago. I am Joey Christopoulos. If you're listening to us on WLS AM 890, thank you so much for tuning in. Happy Saturday, Chicago. Whether it's in your car, whether it's at your home, whether you're with some friends right now, hope you're having a wonderful weekend. It's been a little rainy this week, but the weather's starting to turn around. It's definitely summer, so I want to do a summer topic type show this week. Chicago Bears at minicamp, Blackhawks Bulls in hibernation. The White Sox are bad. Luis Robert Jr. is benched. And oh yeah, the Chicago Cubs are rolling right now in first place. But I wanted to do my top 20 Chicago baseball individual seasons of the 21st century. I know that is a mouthful, but the reason why I'm doing this episode is that don't look now, and I get it. It is only June. And maybe I am summer dreaming just a tiny little bit. But once I do this list, and you see some of the names that are on here, as it stands right now, there are 2, possibly 3 players currently on the Chicago Cubs that by season's end may be on this list. And may not just be on this list, but might be in the top 10, possibly even the top 5 of the best Chicago baseball seasons of the last 25 years. Seiya Suzuki, leading Major League Baseball right now on RBIs, has a great shot right now. If he can stay hot the rest of the way, he could probably crack maybe the top 20 in this list. Kyle Tucker, also having a great season right now. WAR alone, wins above replacement. He is on pace to definitely crack the top 15, top 12 of this list. And don't look now, but Pete Crow Armstrong, PCA, as of this recording, is sitting at a 3.4 WAR, wins above replacement. He is currently on pace right now. If he finishes the season 8, 9, I'm not even going to get into the stratosphere of 10. If he gets into the 9-10 category of WAR, PCA not only will be a top 5 MVP finalist, but he will be in the top 5 of this list of the best baseball seasons we've seen from one player over the last 25 years. So when you hear some of the names on this list coming up, keep in mind of what PCA is doing at this moment. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to stay at this pace the rest of the way, because I'll be frank, he's even surprised me. The elite level of play that he has brought to the table, running the bases, hitting the baseball, catching the baseball, it really is something special to watch, and he is on that cusp of becoming a superstar player here in Chicago. But when I started taking a look at it and saying, man, what really is he doing right now? When you start to really look at it, what he's doing is having one of the best individual starts for a player on either side of town since the year 2000. So I'm going to do this list for you right now. And look, here's the deal. This is my list, all right? So if you disagree with me, jump in the comments. I want to hear from you. I enjoy disagreement. This is why we talk about sports in the first place. It's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to have your opinion. I'm supposed to have my opinion. And that's what this list is for. Now, when I compiled that list, a couple of ground rules, right? First of all, the obvious one, and some people haven't really quite grasped this concept, so I'm going to go really slow for you. When making this list, these players have to have played in a season after the year 2000. So when I make this list, please not in the YouTube comments put in, where's Ryan Sandberg? Where's Robin Ventura? These guys did not play in the 21st century. Therefore, they do not qualify, okay? But basically, I'm compiling this list with a bunch of different factors. The first one, obviously, is wins above replacement. An easy way to understand wins above replacement is that if you were to put an average player in this particular position, how much does said individual player outproduce or outvalue that particular position on any given year? When you look across the board of who wins MVP every single year, I promise you, the person with the highest WAR, wins above replacement, usually finishes 1, 2, or 3. If analytics isn't your game, don't worry. My recipe, my formula isn't just the stats. A lot of it has to do with production, obviously with RBIs, home runs. I'm going to put into one sort of what I'm calling insane stat, or just, wow, I can't believe this player had that good of a year. He was that hot for this stretch. So we're incorporating hot streaks. We're incorporating the moment. We're incorporating fanfare. We are incorporating just a little bit, because you have to. How good was the team that year? How far did they go? But that cannot be the end-all, be-all. And I tried to wrap it all together and try and encompass it and turn it into my top 20 of all time. All right, so here we go. You think I'm going to start with number 20, but I'm not. I'm starting with an honorable mention. because this list was really hard to do. Honorable mention number 1 was the 2004 season from Carlos Zambrano. He was a Cy Young candidate. He finished 5th in Cy Young that year. He went 16-8. His WAR was 6.6. That's pretty darn good for a pitcher. 2.75 ERA, 209.2 innings pitched, 188 Ks, only 175 hits allowed over 209 innings. That's really good. Led the league with 20 hit batters. Very Carlos Zambrano stat. 1.21 whip. And the insane start was that he was incredible at Wrigley Field that year. That year he went 10-2, had a 2.38 ERA, and only allowed 75 hits in 106 innings. This guy made the list because this was the year where, obviously, it's 2004. It's coming off the Bartman year. If everyone remembers, they had a good baseball team that year. They traded for Nomar Garciaparra. They had an opportunity. They fell apart in September. We all remember the LaTroy Hawkins game with the New York Mets. But this was the year where Carlos Zambrano really stepped out of the shadow of the previous year that had Mark Pryor and Kerry Wood in it and really became that whole conversation of, is Big Z an ace? Can Big Z carry a staff? Now, Big Z ended up getting paid like an ace, but this was a season that really put him on the map, that said this guy could be a front-of-line starter, and I had to just give it out as honorable mention at number 21. Number 20, top 20. How do you have a top 20 anything in Chicago baseball without talking about Paul Konerko? Now, this one was really hard. I wanted to put the Paul Konerko season of 2005 on there, but again, there are a couple of other names from that season on this list, I promise you, so I didn't want to overload it. The reason why I did this one is I did the 2010 season for Paul Konerko. He was MVP. He finished 5th that year. 2010, the Chicago White Sox went 88 games. They do not make the playoffs. They got pretty close. And this was right around the range when White Sox fans were super upset to be a White Sox fan. But, man, we would do anything right now to get those times back. They were above average. They were always mid, always fighting for it, probably fighting short, falling a little bit short. But Paul Konerko, 2010, this was his last great season in a White Sox uniform. This is a bit of a turn back the clock moment for Paul Konerko. He slashed .312, on base percentage .393, slugging percentage .584, OPS of .977, a total WAR of 4.7, pretty solid for a player. Now keep in mind, 4.7 is a really good number for a player who honestly can't steal bases, who isn't very fast. You can't have that little extra zhuzh there, because Paul Konerko wasn't quite the speed demon back in the day. 39 home runs, 30 doubles, 111 RBIs, 89 runs scored. The insane stat was that this guy was just incredibly hot at different stretches of time. In August, Paul Konerko hit .382 with a .609 slug, 11 extra base hits, 23 RBIs in the month. That's pretty great. At home, always great to come out to, I think it was probably Comiskey Park. Maybe it was US Cellular at the time. Who knows? Who cares? Corporate money, not my problem. At home that year, he had .342 with a .704 slug, hit 26 bombs in 74 home games with 64 RBIs. The reason why that means something to me is that when you paid a ticket, you came out to the ballpark, there was a 1 in 3 chance, or maybe even less than that Paul Konerko was going to hit one out. And that's what made it special. And also, one of the important stats that I care about is he .323 with runners in scoring position. At number 20, Paul Konerko, MVP year, finished 5th in MVP that year. Number 19, this was a surprise. I kind of forgot about this one. Definitely 1,000% makes the list. At number 19, Ryan Dempster enters the chat. That year he finished 6th in Cy Young. That year was 2008. This was that 97 win ball club. That team that had the pitching, that had the hitting for the Cubs, got all the way to the playoffs, and then boom, woof, bye-bye. Los Angeles Dodgers absolutely blew it. The reason why Ryan Dempster makes this is because not just because of a 6.9 WAR, which honestly ranks a lot higher on this list if you were to put it out just by WAR on this particular ranking. Went 17-6, 2.96 ERA, 206 innings pitched, had an 8.1 K per 9 rate, and at home was absolutely dynamite. 14 of those 17 wins came at home. He's 14-3 with a 2.86 ERA, and then, of course, he had an incredible July, went 3-1 with a 1.99 ERA. The reason why Ryan Dempster makes this list and the reason why he isn't higher is twofold. The reason why he's on this list is, if you remember, Ryan Dempster was a closer, and an iffy one at that. Moving him into the starter's role came with a lot of trepidation at the time and a lot of skepticism heading into that offseason. And not only did he show up and become the ace of the staff, but he put up one of the better statistical seasons you're ever going to see from a Chicago Cubs pitcher over the last 25 years. I almost kicked him off of this list because in the playoffs, if anyone remembers, got squeezed by the umps, walked the bases loaded, specifically that one at bat to Paul LaDuca, and then James Loney grand slam, gave up 4 runs. The air in Wrigley Field completely got sucked out. That series went down the tubes fast because Ryan Dempster, who was basically unbeatable that year, looked very beatable in that playoff game. But honestly, he deserves to be on this list. He had a great season. One of the lost great ace-like seasons for a Chicago Cubs pitcher, at least in the 21st century that I can remember. Moving on to number 18. 18, I got to do it. This is a bit of a homer pick, but man, he was so good this season. I'm giving it to Jermaine Dye. Jermaine Dye in 2006 finished 5th in MVP voting. In 2006, this is the year after the World Series title team. White Sox fell short, didn't make the playoffs. 90-72. Winning 90 games and not making the playoffs, not fun, but it wasn't because Jermaine Dye played poorly. Jermaine Dye was awesome this season. Jermaine Dye hit .315 that year. 385 on base, 622 slugging percentage for a 1.006 OPS. That is a Hall of Fame type season. The WAR not as high as you would like, only 4.6. But the number that you will like that was very high, 44 home runs, 120 RBIs, 27 doubles, 3 triples, scored 103 runs. Now, this was the year that Jermaine Dye, coming off of a World Series MVP. I mean, he was solid and good on the 2005 team, but he wasn't quite the star that he became in this year. In the playoffs, hits the home run off Roger Clemens. Obviously, big game-winning hit, the only run scored in that deciding sweep game for the White Sox in Game 4 against the Astros. And Jermaine Dye shows up to spring training, and I'll never forget, it was one of the great prescient calls by our good friend Hawk Harrelson, who was just watching him in spring training and said, Jermaine Dye is about to have a monster season. And that is exactly what Jermaine Dye did. Had an absolutely monster year. There was a 52-game stretch between July and August where Jermaine Dye hit .350, slugged .695, and hit 19 home runs with 51 RBIs and 12 doubles in 52 games. Had 31 extra base hits in 52 games. For the season, hit .351 with runners in scoring position. And obviously got it done on the road, 72 road games, 67 RBIs. What's crazy about this year, and when we did our all-quarter century team, I picked Magglio Ordóñez over Jermaine Dye. I love Jermaine Dye. But what's crazy about this is in 2006, he's 5th in MVP voting. By 2009, Jermaine Dye is out of the game, not getting a contract, non-tender, not brought back by the White Sox, retires, and just drifts off. So this is interesting. This is an apex moment for Jermaine Dye, and I think this is the season almost as much as the 2005 season where everyone says, you know, he got us the World Series, everything's great. I think White Sox fans remember this Jermaine Dye more than they do even the 2005 Jermaine Dye. Because this guy was an absolute monster this season. And it showed up, and that's why he's on 18 on my list. You're listening to Sports Talk Chicago. I am Joey Christopoulos right here on WLSM 890. Happy Saturday, Chicago. I am doing my top 20 Chicago baseball individual seasons of the 21st century. Number 20 came in at Paul Konerko, 2010. Number 19, 2008, Ryan Dempster. 2006, Jermaine Dye. Let's move on to 2017. The guy, the right fielder that supplanted Jermaine Dye on my quarter-century team list, Magglio Ordóñez. 2002 on an 81 team, Magglio Ordóñez. I've said it before and I'll say it again. For those of you that might not remember, outside of Frank Thomas, Magglio Ordóñez is the second most talented hitter I've ever seen in a White Sox player's uniform. And he showed up this season in particular. MVP finished 8th. Now keep in mind, 2002, a lot of roids going around, and Magglio Ordóñez has never been even close to anything along those lines. Slash line, 320, 381 on base percentage, 597 slug for a 978 OPS, had a 5.2 WAR, so more WAR than the 4.6 Jermaine Dye had in 2006. Hit 38 bombs, 135 RBIs, 47 doubles. That's a Mark Grace number right there. And 116 runs score. Those are absolutely just eye-popping video game type numbers. In 76 home games. Get ready for this. He enjoyed hitting at home. 22 doubles, 24 home runs, 81 RBIs in 76 home games. So 46 extra base hits in 76 home games. A high percentage that you were probably going to see something awesome from Magglio Ordóñez at the plate if you came out to U.S. Cellular at the time. Second half of the season, drove in 68 runs over 69 games, hit .338. And this is my favorite one. He absolutely raked against the AL Central that year. In 19 games versus the Indians, he drove in 23 runs. In 18 games versus the Twins, he drove in 24 runs. Man, this is a guy, Magglio Ordóñez is kind of an underrated dude. Put a 25.3 WAR up in 8 seasons with the Sox. Just an incredibly talented hitter. And it is funny that when you look back at the Magglio Ordóñez, the Carlos Lees of the time, incredibly talented hitters. But the White Sox had to move off of those guys and then won the World Series only a couple years after that. I don't think that was the norm. I think that was more the exception. Could the White Sox have won the World Series with Magglio Ordóñez playing right field? I think they could have. But again, they needed guys like Jermaine Dye. They needed to trade guys like Carlos Lee and get back a Scott Pasenik that could charge them up at the top of the lineup. But Magglio Ordóñez at 17 definitely deserves to be on this list with a fantastic season. Number 16 on the list, we're going back to the north side. It's the first installment of a 2016 Cub. There's going to be a couple of them on this list. I'm warning you right now. Number 16 on this list, Kyle Hendricks, Cy Young Award winner. Not Cy Young Award winner. Finished third in Cy Young voting this year. 103 wins for the Chicago Cubs. He won 16 of them. He went 16-8. Had a WAR of 5.3. ERA, insane. 2.13. 190 innings, only 143 runs allowed. 0.97 whip, 6.7 hits per 9 innings. Don't need to look too deep into it. It's a really good number. Why he's on this list also. Number at 16. Oh, I don't know. Maybe he pitched in the pennant clinching game against the Dodgers, something that hadn't happened in multiple decades. Maybe he pitched in the Game 7 winner, pitching 5 shutout innings, and was absolute nails for a team that hadn't won in 108 years. Maybe because he has a World Series ring. All that stuff does matter. But Kyle Hendricks, much like a couple other pitchers that may be on this list coming up soon, was absolutely dynamite. At home, unbeatable, 9-2. 1.32 ERA at home, 0.89 whip, 95 innings pitched, only 68 hits allowed. And in the second half, he dialed it up again. Also went 9-2 in the second half of that stretch, 1.68 ERA, 91 innings pitched, only 67 hits allowed. Look, we talk a lot about some of the other guys, and obviously the professor turned into a long-standing Cub who I think is going to be welcomed with open arms for the rest of his life on the north side in Wrigleyville. But Kyle Hendricks, sneaky. He was the number 3 pitcher on this team and had a 5.3 WAR and finished third in Cy Young voting at number 16. Absolutely fantastic. Incredible year. And I'll be honest with you, the guy next on his list was on a lesser team, but was more talented and had a better season. And who is that? It's Chris Sale at number 15. Chris Sale finished third in Cy Young in 2014 for a team that won only 73 games. That is really hard to do. When you're talking about Cy Young, we're talking about MVP, pick any sport. We always have that conversation. It is hard to get votes when you are on a bad team. But Chris Sale was so good in 2014 that he finished third in Cy Young voting. Chris Sale also, perhaps the most talented White Sox pitcher I've ever seen. I mean, man, there's been some close ones, right? Blackjack McDowell, Alex Fernandez. I even put kind of Jason Beret early days up there just for funsies. Jose Contreras. Chris Sale, right up there, most talented pitchers. And this year in 2014 went 12-4, a WAR of 6.1. Here's the thing. He only made 26 starts, so he missed a couple starts due to injury. If he had had a full season, these stats might have been even better. Minuscule, 2.17 ERA. 174 innings pitched, 208 Ks, only 39 walks, 0.96 whip. In July, he went 3-0, 0.85 ERA, allowed only 3 runs in the month of July across 31 and 2/3 innings. And at home, dynamite, 9-3 at home, 2.36 ERA, and had an 8-1 first half with a 2.08 ERA easily in the All-Star game. I can't get sidetracked here because every time this happens, I get distracted. But when you start thinking about the talent that the White Sox have had on the pitching mound, not just over the last 20 to 25 years, over the last 10 to 15 years. And the lack of success boggles the mind. We talk a lot on this show with the Chicago Bears and how the Chicago Bears need a good offensive line. And you have to win in the trenches. And look at the Philadelphia Eagles. They've got a great offensive line. Why aren't they doing anything? Chicago White Sox, by and large, what do you need in baseball? You need starting pitching. Pitching. The Chicago White Sox have had pitching. They have had stars. They have had studs. And the lack of success, I just have to categorize as dumbfounding. I'm just going to leave it at that. Number 15, Chris Sale. Coming up, we got a couple more before we take a break here. You're listening to Sports Talk Chicago. I'm Joey Christopoulos. Happy Saturday, Chicago. This is WLS AM 890. Number 14 on the list, edging out Chris Sale. This is a throwback machine, but I was alive, and I remember this one very well. Esteban Loaiza comes in at number 14 of my top 20 Chicago baseball individual seasons of the 21st century. In 2003, Esteban Loaiza finished second in the Cy Young voting. Chicago White Sox won 86 games. He went 21-9, which is the second highest win total for any pitcher of the last 25 years. That means something. He had a 2.90 ERA, pitched 226 innings, struck out 207 guys, 1.13 whip, K9 rate, 8.2. And here's the thing about this, is his first 19 starts at a 2.21 ERA. For anyone that remembers this season, Esteban Loaiza came out of nowhere. He won his first 5 starts clean, had a 1.25 ERA, 36 innings pitched, only allowed 19 hits in that span. That's 2 innings per every hit allowed. That's in the 5 point whatever hits per 9 innings. He did tail off and had kind of a bad second, whatever. I don't want to say second half. He had probably had a bad month to finish his season. But Esteban Loaiza was as nails as it got. He was as consistent could be just that season. And it was all about that little cutter, that little slider that he threw. He had one pitch that no one can hit. He had one pitch that, honestly, you go up and down this list here, might be one of the more dominant pitches in that moment, in that season, that you're going to see in the 21st century. And I know it's crazy. And look, if you want to, don't do it while you're driving, but when you pull over, Google Esteban Loaiza, because the law hasn't been great to him. He's fallen on some hard times. But this is the one-hit wonder of this list. There's got to be one. There's got to be one that flies a little bit too close to the sun, and this is it. Esteban Loaiza at number 14. 21 wins, and honestly, I'm serious. He was dominant that year. That cutter, that slider was absolutely unhittable. It was impressive, and there's nothing that anybody could do about it. Number 13, Anthony Rizzo enters the chat. Finished 4th in MVP voting. And what year? Oh, yeah, that's right. 2016. Hit 292 with a 385 on base, 544 slug for a 928 OPS, 5.8 WAR, 32 home runs, 109 RBIs. Both those stats ho-hum back in the day for Rizzo with 30 home runs and 100-plus RBIs, 43 doubles, 94 runs scored. Why he gets so high on this list? Obviously, World Series ring means something to me. Also picked up his first Gold Glove. So I've been going through this list here, talking about a lot of these guys, pitchers, hitters, sluggers on this list. None of these dudes at this point also picked up a Gold Glove. So dude also doing it with his defense, probably a big reason why he ended up with the 5.8 WAR. Put up a 1.006 OPS in the first half. Had a fantastic month of June. Hit 378, 467 on base percentage with a 744 slug, 8 home runs, 9 doubles, 21 RBIs in 25 games. That is a month, ladies and gentlemen. Hit 341 with runners in scoring position, so he was clutch all year. And then just for funsies, I threw it in there in 18 games. 18 games versus the Pittsburgh Pirates. Poor Pittsburgh Pirates. Rizzo hits 435, slugs 942, hits 7 home runs in 18 games, 12 doubles, 19 RBIs in 18 games. Anthony Rizzo, well-deserved here at number 13. Number 12, I'm ready for some disagreements here. I'm going to put José Abreu's 2020 season here at number 12. And I know what you're saying. He only played 60 games. That's not the athlete's fault. If you extrapolate his season out, White Sox at the time went 35-25. They played 60 games. Everyone played 60 games that year in that shortened season in 2020. We all know why. But José Abreu was fantastic. 19 home runs, 60 RBIs in 60 games. 15 doubles, 76 hits, 43 runs scored, hit 317, had a 987 OPS total, and had a total WAR of 2.7 over 60 games. If you extrapolate that out, he probably gets into somewhere in the 6 to 7 range, which ranks very, very highly on this list. hit 329 with runners in scoring position. And then the fun stat about this, 3 games at Wrigley Field. In 3 games, hits 583. Somehow has a slugging percentage of over 2,000, hits 6 home runs, has 9 RBIs in 3 games in 2020. And keep in mind, the Cubs were good that year. The Cubs also went to the playoffs that year. But José Abreu at number 12, he wins MVP that season. He was an absolute monster. He was an RBI machine. And if you play it out, there is a possibility or world where he could possibly be even higher on this list. But I put him there at 12 because it was impressive given the circumstance. He won the MVP award. He takes the White Sox to the playoffs and was easily on pace to have one of his best seasons, and is one of the best offensive players that we've seen in Chicago, at least in the 21st century. Number 11, we're getting to our top 10 list pretty soon. Javier Báez at number 28 at 2018. This is the year that he finished second in MVP voting. Javi was fantastic this year. Hit 290, had a 554 slug, 881 OPS, 6.8 WAR. Why is it so high, you say? Because of his defense, because he's able to run the bases, able to steal some bases. He was an all-around player. He was fantastic this year. 34 home runs, 111 RBIs, 40 doubles, 9 triples, 21 stolen bases, 101 runs scored. I mean, those numbers alone are very, very similar, and in some ways almost exceed the numbers from Magglio Ordóñez at number 17. Got off to a great start in 26 games, had 18 extra base hits and slugged 630. And then here's the other part, and the reason why I think he deserves to finish this high, not quite in the top 10, but he definitely deserves to finish this high. He played 20 games at least at second base, shortstop, and third base. He played all over the diamond, somehow finished second in MVP voting, 9 triples, over 20 stolen bases, over 30 home runs. This was optimal Javi. This was the Almago that when we look back and have the nostalgia for, I think this is the one that we remember. And he had just an incredible season. And the 6.8 WAR alone is undeniable, has to be pretty high up the list, and that's why he's at 11. But it is time. Top 10. Now this is the list. These are some hallowed hall seasons right here. These are some not messing around years. At number 10, my Chicago baseball individual seasons list in the 21st century, my number 10 player is the 2005 season. That's right, Mark Buehrle, yes. Mark Buehrle finished 5th in Cy Young that year, 4.8 WAR, 16-8 record, 3.12 ERA, 1.18 WHIP, 236 innings. Not going to find that a lot on this list. Only 40 walks, 149 Ks, 3 complete games. Mark Buehrle might not have the numbers, but you know what? Mark Buehrle has never had the numbers. But if you saw it with your eyes, you knew it. And Mark Buehrle deserves to be on one of these top 10 lists. Mark Buehrle would get the ball, throw the ball. If you wanted to go to a 1 o'clock game and you had a 3:30 meeting somewhere else and Mark Buehrle was pitching, you were going to make that meeting on time. And in this one, not only did he pick up a save in the World Series, maybe inebriated, but that's a story for another time. You can Google that as well. Not only did he win a World Series ring, not only did he have a complete game, 5-hit, 1-run, complete game win versus the Angels in the ALCS, and he did it on 99 pitches. Mark Buehrle was an everyman, but Mark Buehrle was a unicorn. Mark Buehrle was us in the stands doing what we always wished that we thought we could do, but Mark Buehrle had the intellect and the moxie and the guile that was unmatched in baseball. And the 3.12 ERA, look, I get it. Maybe that's a little bit high for this list. I understand that. But Mark Buehrle just went out there, took the ball, won some games, kept the rhythm, and was a huge part of why that team was amazing. And look, those numbers aren't even that great. 4.8 WAR, that's not going to rank very high in this list. Still finished 5th in Cy Young that season. So Mark Buehrle is at number 10. Number 9. Guess who's here? Sammy Sosa. Sammy Sosa. 2000. Sammy Sosa on a 65-win Cubs team. They lose 97 games. Only 2 years removed from the Kerry Wood Cubs and the Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa chase, all that stuff. Finished 9th in MVP voting that year. Sammy had a great year. Hit 320. On base percentage, 406. Slugging percentage, 634. OPS, 1.040. Basically, numbers that Aaron Judge puts up on a year-to-year basis. Or 5.7, pretty high for this list and on the player. Hit 50 home runs. There's no other player on this list that has a 50 spot. Drove in 138 runs. I'm going to go up and down the list, but I think that is either the highest or the second highest RBI total that's going to be on this list. Between doubles and triples, he had 39 extra base hits in that front, so he had 89 extra base hits for the season. Unbelievable. And scored 106 runs. Insane stat for this one, hit 13 home runs in August. Hit only 132 in 10 games versus the St. Louis Cardinals. That must hurt. For a guy who hit 320 and 50 home runs to play so poorly against our rival, I'm sure that hurt young Joey in his high school days back then. And look, we can litigate Sammy on another pod another day, but the numbers and production are there. They exist. They're not going away. And Sammy, who may end up again on this list one more time, Sammy's seasons are unparalleled in Chicago Cubs history and in White Sox history, and deserves to be on this list. He's number 9. So number 8, coming in, did not make Cy Young, did not finish in the top 10 in Cy Young. Very strange, but in 2003, there were few better on the field and on the mound than Kerry Wood. 2003, we all know it's the Bartman year, 88 wins. Kerry Wood goes 14-11, but has a 6.1 WAR. Again, higher than a lot of other guys with more victories or less losses on this list. His value on the mound was higher than a lot of these other dudes, and this gets to number 8. The reason why he's on this list is not just the 3.20 ERA. It's the 211 innings pitched, 266 Ks, 11.3 Ks per 9 innings. You don't see that much anymore. Only 152 hits in 211 innings pitched. And here's the best part. When it mattered the most, when the Cubs got hot, and if anyone remembers, the Cubs were kind of teetering around 500 at that time. And then they got hot at the end of August and into September. Kerry Wood showed up, went 3-1, 1.0 ERA. Just one, 47 Ks and 36 innings pitched. Rode that into the playoffs, and we all know what he did against the Atlanta Braves. Pitched 7 innings of 2 runs with 11 Ks, and then came back in the clincher, 8 innings, 1 run, 7 Ks. Absolutely dynamite. Florida series against the Marlins, a little bit of a different story. He did go 6.2 innings pitched, allowed 3 runs, and then the last game, obviously, in Game 7, 5.2 innings pitched, got roughed around for 7 runs, but also hit a home run in that game. Kerry Wood is one of the most talented pitchers we've ever seen in a Chicago Cubs baseball uniform in at least the last 30 years. And in my opinion, the year 1998 was great, but this was Kerry Wood fully formed, doing what he does best, and leading the Cubs to great success in almost the World Series at the time. And this is the Kerry Wood that I remember. And this is the Kerry Wood, if you want to play the game of who on this list would you want to put on the mound right now in a must-have it, gotta win it, gotta have it happen type game, this is why Kerry Wood is 8 on this list. Moving on, we're still doing some pitching here. Number 7, didn't have as high of a WAR, but again, this is my list, so sue me. Jon Lester finished 2nd in Cy Young voting into 2016. That's right. Oh, yeah, 2016. Cubs, oh, yeah, they won a little thing called the World Series. And number 16, we had Kyle Hendricks, who finished 3rd in Cy Young. Now at number 7, the Jon Lester season had him coming in at number 2. 2.44 ERA, 202 innings pitched, 197 Ks, whip 1.01, 8.7 K per 9 rate. Inside, and insane stat for Jon Lester. Obviously, the World Series ring, pitched in relief. At home, absolutely nails this season. Went 10-2, 1.74 ERA, 0.89 whip, 2 complete games. But in the second half, Jon Lester was as hot and as good as any pitcher in baseball. Went 10-1 in the second half, 7.6 ERA, 0.93 whip, 5-1 in September with a 1.48 mark. Rolled right into playoffs, kept it going all the way to the World Series, and ended that drought. What's great about this season is, if you remember, we signed Jon Lester for big money, and he was just mediocre to okay the year before. That first year had some middling results, had some bad starts, got off to a slow start. Who is this guy? Is this really Jon Lester? Is this big game Jon Lester? And this season, this 2016 season alone, winning 19 games, proved that Jon Lester is one of the greats and one of the best to wear a Cubs uniform. And this season alone, at number 7, he deserves it. I'm sorry, guys, we have to stay with it. When you start looking at this list of what it takes to end a 108-year drought, you need some individual seasons that are going to rank very high on this list. We already have 3 guys on this list, so might as well make it number 4. At number 6, my 21st century Chicago baseball individual seasons, the best that it gets at number 6, Kris Bryant, 2016. And it was everything. It wasn't just the slugging. It was the base running. It was the fielding. It was the consistency. And it was the promise of this guy is the next big thing. Wins the Rookie of the Year, and then this year comes out and wins the MVP award for a 103-win team. 7.3 WAR. Haven't heard that 7 number yet here on the show. We've got it with Kris Bryant here coming in at number 6. For those that don't remember, hit 292, 385 on base, 554 slug, 939 OPS, 39 home runs, 102 RBIs, 35 doubles, 3 triples, 121 runs scored, and some insane stats for you. In August, hit 383, 472 on base percentage. So he was on base 50% of the time in the month of August. Hit 10 home runs, had 22 RBIs in 27 games in that span. 19 games versus the Reds. We all remember that season. He went 5 for 5. I had him on my fantasy team. He scored me like 30 fantasy points in one game. It was incredible. 19 games versus the Reds, 6 doubles, 10 home runs, 25 RBIs, hit 364. So 16 extra base hits in 19 games and 25 RBIs. And then, in the playoffs, hit 308 total, 400 on base percentage, 523 slugging, World Series ring. Hits the ball to the warning track. That gets caught, but Albert Almora tags up to second base. Huge play, could have been a World Series hero. You win the MVP award on a team that breaks a 108-year curse. Kris Bryant, welcome. Number 6, makes a lot of sense to me. I'm locking that in. At number 5, this is the highest White Sox player that we have on here, and I'm doing this. Maybe this is a homer pick, but you so sue me. Frank Thomas in 2000 finishes second in MVP voting, leads the White Sox to the playoffs. They lose to the Seattle Mariners, but man, this is why he's so high on this list is one, Frank didn't make it to the quarter century team because honestly, Frank only had kind of like 2 seasons of productive play for the White Sox before he went on and moved on to Oakland and Toronto the rest of the 2000s. Frank was a 90s player. But this season in 2000, this is the season that says Frank is not dead. The big hurt is not dead. The big hurt is back. And these numbers, man, are these impressive. 328 batting average. 436 on base percentage for the season. 625 slug for a 1.061 OPS. Had a WAR of 6 as a designated hitter. So just keep in mind, never played defense, barely run the bases, just swung the bat and got a 6 WAR out of that. 43 home runs, 143 RBIs, 44 doubles, 115 runs scored, 112 walks, only struck out 94 times. Insane stat category. Home games. You were going to see some good stuff if you went to come see Frank in 2000. Hit 347, slugged 753, 28 doubles, 30 home runs, 86 RBIs in 80 games. And this is my favorite one. This is my favorite by far. In wins. So when the Chicago White Sox won games, and they won 95 of them that year, and he was a part of 93 wins, he hit 370 in those games. He hit 31 home runs, and he drove in 114 runs in 93 wins. If the White Sox lost, he only hit 266 with 29 RBIs in 65 games. That's kind of all you need to know. When we talk about MVPs, when you win a baseball game, who contributes? And Frank Thomas, 114 RBIs in 93 wins. If Frank was going, the White Sox were going. And the White Sox went all the way to 95 wins that year. Hit 373 with runners in scoring position. Absolutely incredible. I know it isn't the highest in WAR. I know they didn't go and win a World Series. They didn't go far in this one. But I'm telling you that he deserves to be on this top 5 list. It was an incredible season from Frank Thomas. We're in our top 5 here at Sports Talk Chicago with Joey Christopoulos right here on WLS AM 890. At number 4, Mark Pryor. When you start looking at it, these are some eye-popping stats. And for one season, Mark Pryor was the truth. Mark Pryor was the next great something. Finished 3rd in Cy Young that year in 2003. Obviously, this is the Bartman year. Went 18-6. Had a WAR of 7.4. Impressive. 2.43 ERA, 211 innings pitched, 245 Ks, only allowed 183 hits, 10.4 K per 9 rate. On the road, he was awesome, 11-3 on the road, 2.08 ERA. Was even better in the second half, 10-1, 1.52 ERA, 1.0 WHIP, 2 complete games. In August, there is another player on this list who had an incredible stretch. In the month of August, Mark Buehrle went 5-0 with a 0.69 ERA. In those starts, he went 6 innings, allowed 0 runs. Through a complete game, allowed 1 run. Through a complete game, allowed 1 run. Pitched 7 innings, allowed 0 runs, and pitched 8 innings and allowed 1 run. It's one of the better heaters you're ever going to see. Mark Buehrle at 7.4. We all remember in the Braves series, he threw a complete game with only 1 run. Pitched well in the Florida series, 7 innings, only 2 runs. Gave up a couple runs in the other game, obviously, in Game 6, but we all know what happened in that one. Mark Buehrle for that season put together one of the most impressive performances you're going to see at least of the 21st century, and he is number 4 on my list. We are into our top 3. These are my top 20 Chicago baseball individual seasons of the 21st century. Right here at Sports Talk Chicago, I am Joey Christopoulos. You're listening to WLS AM 890. And the reason why I'm doing this list again is keep in mind, even with these top 3 coming up, listen to these seasons out of the top 3, and I'm telling you, Pete Crow Armstrong is on pace, on track, and has an outside shot at entering this type of stratosphere by season's end. At number 3, greatest individual seasons of the 21st century when you wear a Chicago baseball uniform, Derrek Lee in 2005. Man, this season was amazing. Cubs only won 79 games. He finishes 3rd in MVP voting. Hits .335, .418 on base, .662 slug with a 1.08 OPS. Had a WAR of 7.7. That is mighty high, folks. Hit 46 home runs, 107 RBIs, 50 doubles, 96 extra base hits total on the season, 120 runs scored, 1 hit shy of 200 hits, 15 stolen bases, walked 85 times, only struck out 108 times. So for Derrek Lee, this is an incredible season. And the reason why he's in the top 3 is that he had some heaters on this one that are absolutely mind-boggling. In his first 102 plate appearances in the month of April, hit .419. Number came down a little bit. Okay, had a heater. A lot of players have it. Okay, get back onto your normal season. Hit .407 in 118 plate appearances in June. Was flirting with .400 heading into the All-Star break, hitting .378, .452 on base, .733 slug with 27 doubles, 27 home runs, 72 RBIs in only 84 games. It's just unbelievable. Hit .331 runners in scoring position in the 77 wins that Derrek Lee played in. For the 79 win Chicago Cubs team, hit .410 in those games. And it really is kind of the benchmark of one of the great seasons, one of the great heaters, one of the great hot streaks that you're ever going to see in Chicago baseball. When you hit .400 pretty much for 3 months to start the year, you're on to something special. We barely have 10 players, 12 players that even qualify that hit for .300 right now in the major leagues. This guy hit .335. It was absolutely incredible. So you're asking yourself, are there any performances that can possibly beat that? Of course there is. Sammy Sosa says, hold my beer. At number 2, finished 2nd in MVP voting in 2001. 88-win team. This was the Matt Stairs team. This was a plucky Cubs team that could have done some things, just fell a little bit short. Sammy Sosa back on the list. 2 top 10 performances here for individual seasons of the 21st century for Chicago baseball players. In 2001, what can you say? He hit .328, on-base percentage .437, .737 slug, 1.17 OPS, a WAR of 10.3. That is the high water mark that Pete Crow Armstrong is going to be going for, that he's going to be shooting for. There's only been a couple of guys. I think Mike Trout, I think Aaron Judge, I think Shohei Ohtani. I think those are the only 3 people that have gotten close to a 10 or gotten over a 10 WAR season in the last 15 years. That's how good Sammy was that year. Hit 64 home runs, 160 RBIs. And I understand what you're saying under your breath. I get it. The numbers are the numbers. The performance is the performance. I'm not a doctor. I especially was not making the rules back in the day when all this was going on, especially in 2001. This is about 2 years before the Balco case that comes out with the list of names. But I'm not here to litigate that stuff. And I'm not here to say whether he did or whether he didn't. I think we all can assume that he probably did. But I can't say that for sure. I'm just going off of numbers. I'm going off production. I remember what I saw with my own eyes. I mean, he had some stretches here that are absolutely incredible. He had 11 home runs against the Astros in 17 games. That's back when the Astros were still in the division. hit 34 home runs in 79 home games, 85 runs driven in. So if you went to a Cubs home game, he hit 34 home runs in 79 games. That's almost a 50% conversion rate. It's absolutely incredible. Hit 17 home runs in the month of August with 35 RBIs in only 29 games, hit 385 in that stretch, 936 slug. It's just the production, it is what it is. A 10.3 WAR. I mean, Sammy, we all talk about 98, but Sammy is the only player with 3 60-plus home run seasons. It may not mean anything to those that thumb their nose and thumbs down steroids, but it means something. And it is what it is. He has to be number 2 on my list, which makes you ask, 64 home runs, Sammy Sosa, who is it? Who is number 1? Who is the number 1 player? Who has had the number 1 best season in a Chicago baseball uniform in the 21st century? It is 2015 Jake Arrieta. Excuse me, Cy Young Award-winning Jake Arrieta. This is by far, in my opinion, the best individual baseball season on the White Sox or the Cubs since the year 2000. Jake Arrieta was unstoppable. Jake Arrieta was basically Neo in the Matrix, and all he was doing was looking at code when other hitters came up. Went 22-7, so the highest watermark in wins of the 21st century for any Chicago baseball player. 8.3 WAR as a pitcher. That is not easy to do. 1.77 ERA in 229 innings pitched. Only allowed 115 hits. In 229 innings pitched, only allowed 10 home runs. 0.86 whip, 236 Ks, 9.3 Ks per 9. The reason why he's number 1 is, man, these stats are about to get insane. On the road, 13-1, 1.60 ERA. But if we all remember correctly, Jake Arrieta in the second half, when they say unhittable, Jake Arrieta was the dictionary definition of unhittable in the second half of his season. 12-1, 0.75 ERA, 107 innings pitched, only 55 hits allowed, only 2 home runs allowed, and 107 innings pitched, 113 Ks, 0.72 whip, only allowed 9 earned runs over 107 innings pitched. That's right, folks. He averaged about 10 innings per 1 run allowed for 14-15 starts. In August, 6-0, 0.43 ERA. September, 5-0, 0.39 ERA. Of course, we all remember the no-hitter versus the Los Angeles Dodgers. And here we go. The final 12 starts for Jake Arrieta. Pitched 7 innings, 0 runs allowed. 7.2 innings, 0 runs allowed. 6.2 innings, 2 runs allowed. 6 innings, 0 runs allowed. 6 innings, 0 runs allowed. 9 innings, complete game, 0 runs allowed. 8 innings, 0 runs allowed. 8 innings, 1 run allowed. 8 innings, 1 run allowed. 9 innings, 0 runs allowed. 7 innings, 0 runs allowed. 6 innings, 0 runs allowed. Do not adjust your radio. I'm not repeating myself right now. Those are just the amount of innings and the amount of runs he gave up over his 5-12 starts. For those of you scoring at home, that's 4 runs. Jake Arrieta was unhittable. He was unstoppable. He was fantastic in 2016, but in 2015, he locked in a way that I have never seen from a pitcher. And that alone is the greatest individual baseball season that I have seen in a Chicago baseball uniform, north side, south side, both of them combined, since the 21st century began in 2000, is Jake Arrieta on my list. We got to get out of here on Sports Talk Chicago. I am Joey Christopoulos, just running down our list very quickly. Individual baseball season since the year 2000. My honorable mention goes out to Carlos Zambrano at number 21 in 2004. Number 20 goes to Paul Konerko in 2010. 19, Ryan Dempster in 2008. 18, Jermaine Dye in 2006. 17, Magglio Ordóñez in 2002. 16, Kyle Hendricks in 2016. Chris Sale in 2014 comes in at number 15. At number 14, Esteban Loaiza in 2003. Number 13, Anthony Rizzo in 2016. Number 12, José Abreu in 2020. Number 11, Javier Báez in 2018. Number 10, Mark Buehrle in 2005. Number 9, Sammy Sosa in 2000. Number 8, Kerry Wood in 2003. Number 7, Jon Lester in 2016. Number 6, Kris Bryant in 2016. Number 5, Frank Thomas in the year 2000. Number 4, Mark Buehrle in 2003. Number 3, Derrek Lee in 2005. Number 2, Sammy Sosa in 2011. And number 1, Jake Arrieta in 2015. That's going to do it for this week's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Happy Saturday, Chicago. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for tuning in to WLS AM 890. I am Joey Christopoulos. This was Sports Talk Chicago, and we will be back next week.